Hello and welcome to the Afri Dominion Show. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you for joining us for our program today. For those of you joining us live from network televisions all over, welcome. Those of you joining us from radio station, welcome. And those of you joining us via social media like Facebook and YouTube, welcome as well. And I want to stress in particular for those of you guys joining us via Facebook and YouTube, basically social media, be sure to share our programs. Click on the button that reads subscribe, follow and share. Even that little button or that little bell, the one that reads notification, be sure to click on it. You may wonder why, so that you may be able to come and share with us in real time as we discuss the issues of which matters the most to your hearts. And I want to let you know that in this program, in our program, we speak frankly, we speak boldly, and we also speak with no apologies to our stories, our ways of lives. And it is in this spirit, all the conversation and everything we discuss here, we speak, we talk about it, we discuss it in the spirit of truth, love, and trust. And these are the benchmarks by which we want you to measure, to weight the integrity and the value of the programs or the content that we share with you. And I would also be remiss if I didn't say, be sure to leave us a feedback, because we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think about the programs that we have, whether it's beneficial to you, whether it adds any value to your lives, whether it helps you, or whether it is actually guiding you in a positive direction. Even if it's not taking you somewhere that you'd hope for, leave us a note, leave us a message, leave us some sort of communication. Let us know so we can be able to improve. And you can do that by visiting our website, which is afridominion.com, afridominion.com, or you can just shoot us an email at info@afridominion.com. And if you go to that website, you will be able to also get access to our main line or our social media number, WhatsApp, Facebook, and I think it's WhatsApp, it's a Facebook, it's a Signal, even Telegram. And be sure also to join our Telegram group, which is there as well, so that we can actually mingle, we can hang out, you can know what we're up to and be a part of it. So, as you know, we recently started this program, Afri Dominion program. And for those of you who don't know what the program is about, I would also want to share just a little bit about that before we get started to the program today. What is Afri Dominion? Afri Dominion, it's an idea that inspires, that advocates, that also encourages a complete African dominion by its sons, daughters, and African descendants, all in the interest of African people primarily, and the rest of the world afterwards. Now, there's something I also usually forget, but I also want you to understand that when we say that we want a complete African dominion, Africa is a huge continent, y'all. Some of you think Africa as one country. It's a continent. It has many countries. So when we say we want to have a complete taking back of Africa dominion, we also want to stress that we mean one country at a time, one region at a time, one village at a time, one family at a time. Why this is important? Africa is one of the wealthiest continent on the planet. One of the wealthiest continent on planet Earth, period. However, when you see Africans in general, we are very poor. Most of them are very poor. We live a life that is beneath the kind of life we should be living, or the kind of life we used to live. How did that happen? We will be exploring that, and we will be taking actions to rectify that. Hence this show. So this show is also going to be inspiring, advocating, and encouraging sons, daughters, and African descendants to rise up to the challenge of leadership of their own respective countries, of their own respective regions, of their own respective villages, in the interest of those families, those regions primarily, instead of the rest of the world first. Today, the world takes from Africa primarily. Africans, they come last. And it is, in my opinion, absurd, and it is absolutely unconscionable that the entire planet, the whole world, continues to take and take and take, not realizing, actually they do realize, not caring the fact that some of those resources are being taken, or they're taking, are supposed to be utilized by the Africans primarily. And so we putting a torch out. We're speaking up on behalf of the voiceless, on behalf of those who cannot communicate directly, on behalf of those who do not have the opportunity, so that we may get together, come together, and have the changes we must have in Africa to enjoy and live the life we must live as Africans and African descendants. So this is the reason why we have Afro-Dominion Show. We will be talking about so many topics, various themes. Every day from Monday through Friday, we have a theme. On Mondays, we talk about refugees and the issues of refugees, which is such a pandemic. We have so many Africans who are refugees all over the world. We want to put an end to that, our sons and daughters and African descendants. We ourselves want to put an end to that. We're not going to wait for the outside world to do that for us. They've been attempting to do that. They have attempted, but they haven't tried hard enough. So it's our time to try that. On Tuesday, we talk about the Constitution, the laws and the policies of which govern Africa, African region and African people. We want to get into that. We want to scrutinize that. We want to see what's that about. Are those policies, those laws and regulations, the Constitution, are they for the benefit of Africans? We will be talking about that. On Wednesdays, we talk about our testimony, or testimonies. We want to talk about our own history, who you are in your own words, or in the words of your family members. Today, most of the Africa history or African history, it's being burnt. Our history has been buried. Who we are as a people. There are a number of people around this world, a number of communities, a number of organizations who do not want sons, daughters, and African descendants to know who you are. And we also want to rectify that. You have a history, you have a story, you have a place of a beginning. So we want you to be able to rise up to the challenge and speak up for you, for your family, for your village, for your community, for your country, and for the continent. Be unashamed of who you are, where you come from, however the smallest the beginning. So that's what we talk about on the Wednesdays. And I want to humbly say to you, welcome. Welcome and come and share with us. The contents that we record, that we produce, are going to live for many years. They usually say that those in governments, whoever that wins a war, whoever that wins a government, get the opportunity to write the history. And as you can tell, that's a biased history. That's a cherry-picked history. Enough is enough with that. We want to write a complete, total history of who we are as a people. and you're out to take part into that yourselves. 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 500 years from now, what will the people say about you in particular, your family, your community, your village, your country? Will there be some sort of recollection, some sort of record? Complete record, not a cherry-picked record of who you were, so that those generations in the future can actually benefit from both your mistakes and your successes in lives. This is the reason why we are encouraged, each and every one of you. Take some time out of your schedule. Go find out of who you are. Who are you as a person? Write it down, record it, and save it for thousands of years. Today there are a number of few books in the whole world that everybody knows. A Bible, a Quran, a lot of these religious books, they have been well kept for thousands of years. There are a few other books also that have been kept for thousands of years, but these are like collections, expensive books that they won't even allow you to read. And you wonder, what's the point of hiding a history when that history doesn't belong to you to begin with? People collect historical artifacts, expensive billions of dollars, and they appropriate those artifacts personally. But the truth of the matter is that history belonged to the people of which that particular artifacts came from. But because of the way we think, the way we live on this world, these things have been changing, and we want to change that. Change it to the way it's supposed to be. So on Wednesdays, welcome. Come and speak up, tell your story, write your own history, and give us the privilege and the opportunity to save it for thousands of years. On Thursdays, we talk about the spirit of dominion. What is the spirit of dominion? Notice the words I'm using. I'm choosing them carefully and intentionally. If you do not know what a word called dominion is, you must learn. Get to know what that is. So on Thursday, our themes, it's spirit of dominion, spirit of leadership. What is leadership? There are many books written about leadership, many conferences about leadership, many courses about leadership. But who are you as a leader? Who are you as a king and queen? On Thursdays, we get to talk about that. On Fridays, we get to talk about the current events and have an opportunity to take action. When we talk about current events, we don't just talk about who shot what. No, that's not what we're talking about. Even though that may also come up as a topic. But we want to cherry pick the current event beneficial to you, to your families, to your communities, to your villages, and bring them to light. Or issues of which are most important to you, close to your heart. We want to have an opportunity to showcase them globally. We know the mainstream media will not just take any of your stories just like that. There has to be a reason why you end up on these networks. And that's why I'm super grateful for HMG Network for allowing us and giving us the privilege to broadcast our messages. There are those few networks that are still in the business of humanity, in the business of advancing humanity in the right direction, in the positive direction, with no one left behind. And we are so grateful for those of you taking part in writing the history of the humanity, of the entire planet, of the humankind, because that's what we want to do, with no one left behind. So that's what we got going on with Afri Dominion, and I encourage you to subscribe. I encourage you to come and support us. I encourage you to come and help us get all the facts correct, get all the facts right. Fact check us. Like I say, we will be speaking frankly, boldly, and with no apologies. That's one thing you can expect from these shows. So do share, do come and participate. Those of you who would love to do that, who would love to come, we also broadcast live, and you have a chance to interact with our guests directly as it happens. So we have Zoom for those of you who connect directly from social medias, or if you have a phone, a computer, you can join us. You can join us live. There is a Zoom link that's usually provided. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, there is a Zoom link under the description somewhere down there. So if you click on it, then you can join us live as it happens. And we would love so much to hear from you as these conversations and programs are being aired. And the best part of it, we want you to be comfortable, to be confident, and to make it an everyday discussion, the same way you talk in your own living room, where you have a conversation with your loved ones, friends, and family. We want to make sure that our community at large, we get to unify it again. It's a digital community now, both digital and in person. We want to make sure that we get together and discuss the issues most relevant to you with the utmost respect, utmost interest for you, for your families, and all of that. So that's what we got going on, and I want to say thank you to all those of you making this happen, and in particular my lions and kings and queens on the social media. I just want to salute you. I see Lion Remy, give you greetings. Kagoma Eggs, Umwami Kaziu, Major Zuzu, Eva, and all of you coming. Welcome. And I want you guys to not be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Come and talk to the world. Come and talk to those who do not know you, who assume they know you, and get the facts straight. Speak on your own behalf. So let's get to our conversation for today, because they're counting time for me on the networks. So in today's discussion, as I have told you, our theme today is our testimony, our history. And if I'm going to ask you to come and testify, who's better to begin the testimony as your host? So for those of you who do not know me, I am Freeman Singirankabo, as you all know, or as I continuously introduce myself. I was born in Rwanda, and if I can ask the text, can you guys give me control to a laptop or something? Let me give him a little demonstration, a little presentation as we go. Yeah, if you can give me access, please. So I was born in Rwanda. Those of you who do not know Rwanda, they are giving me control to a computer right quick. I want to show you. Let me see if I can show you on the map. Okay. Let's do that right quick. Okay, please share my screen so they can see. Okay, I think they might be showing you my Google screen, and I hope this is okay, by the way. So I was born in Rwanda. Rwanda is where? Rwanda is in Africa. As you can see, I was telling you that Africa is a huge continent. Those of you who don't know, especially I'm talking about the people in the West. In the West, they assume that Africa is a country the same way you hear of the United States, the same way you see, Europe, like the United States. It's one country in the Northern America continent. So in Africa, look at it. I was born in this little teeny country called Rwanda. So you literally cannot see Rwanda at all. It's pretty small. It's very, very small. However, in Rwanda, where I was born, my small beginnings start in this country called Rwanda. I don't know if you guys can see it. Make sure that they get to see Rwanda. It's pretty small. It's Rwanda is, if I remember correctly, oh my God, it's like a little dot. It's pretty small. I will actually check I will check on Wikipedia and see the size of Rwanda as compared to the United States, and then I will let you know. So let me do that right now. So, Wiki, everybody goes to Wiki. So forgive me, I am venturing somewhere I wasn't trying to go before. I just feel like we need to do an interaction conversation today. And we cannot do an interaction conversation if I don't do this. So wiki Rwanda. Let's type in Rwanda right quick. Okay, so Rwanda, what's the size of Rwanda? By the way, back in the days, Wikipedia wasn't there. So if you wanted to know Rwanda or anything else, you would actually use like Britannica or something like that, the dictionary. So I'm gonna get another page. So, and then I will say Africa. Okay, so the size of Africa and the size of Rwanda. So Africa is 36.4 kilometers square. Rwanda is, what is the size of Rwanda? What is the size of Rwanda? I think it's, oh yeah, I see it. 10,169 miles square, or 26,338 kilometers square. So how many times can Rwanda go into Africa? Actually, I made a mistake. Africa is not 36.4 kilometers square. That's the population. My apologies. Okay. Whoa. So Africa is 30,370 kilometers square. 30,370,000. 30,370,000 kilometers square. Let me get a calculator and do the math right quick. So 30 million divided by 26,000. 26,000. Where did I see 26,000? Yeah. 20. Oh yeah, here it is. 26,338. Okay. Divide. I know my head is good, but not that good. Okay, so Rwanda, if you were to put it inside of Africa, it would take 1,153 times. That's how big Rwanda is. So as you can see, it's a pretty teeny country. So from my smallest beginning in Rwanda, where I was born, and very proudly I can say I was born in Rwanda, in the second largest city of the country. Back in the days, it used to be called Butare. Let me see if we can zoom into Butare right there. Butare. So back in the days, they used to call it Butare. Today it's called the district of Huye. I also used Wiki to show you what it's like today. So this is Huye district. This is the southern, the southern, what do you call Inhara? It's like the southern region, and then the district is called Huye. It's pretty teeny, that little reddish looking like. So that's where I was born, and contrary to what some of you, the stereotypes, I was born in a hospital. I was not born in a forest. I wasn't born right underneath of monkeys. So there's a civilization, for those of you in the West who actually don't know, because you have people who are somewhat ignorant that Africa, it's like a jungle, the same way you see it on the National Geographic Channel or something like that. So again, if I'm using Google right quick, this is the city I was born in, this little teeny city. It's like the second largest city in Rwanda, or used to be. I don't know if it still is. And I was born to one of these hospitals, a University of Rwanda hospital, and I think it's there somewhere. The University of Rwanda. That's where I was born. So, like I say, get to know your roots, my peoples, right here. The University of Rwanda. So, This is the only university that at least I knew of in Rwanda when I was born, at least for the few years that I lived in Rwanda. So this university also had a hospital. My parents, they worked nearby there. So that's where I was born. That's my smallest beginning when I landed on this planet Earth in Rwanda, in Butare, or district of Huye today. And very proudly to be here on this earth. So, for the few years that I've lived in Rwanda, the most happiest years I can imagine, because it is all that I knew. And I'm not gonna lie you, it's one of the most beautiful country that you can ask for. Fast forward. I was born in the 80s. I'm a kid. I think I might be growing now. I think you can call it now. We've growing up, even though I don't know what that means sometimes. So in the 80s, I was born, and beautiful life. I think you would call us what they say like a normal, standard class. Like in this country, you have like a middle class, upper class, and so on. We were like a decent, I guess, middle class. I didn't have a lack. I had food. We had things to eat. We went to school as children. I had a pretty beautiful life, the way I remember it. One of the fondest, some of the fondest memories that I have actually are right before in my childhood in Rwanda. We didn't have a whole lot, but what we had, it's all we knew, and it was amazing. And I remember the very last time that I would say that we stopped having the life, the beautiful life that I remember. It was September 30, 1990. And I want you to know that, just keep in mind of that year, because there is a reason why. Up to that time, I lived a life that I cannot even explain. It was a beautiful life. I only knew Rwanda. I knew Europe. America was like something else. It was pretty far. I never thought about America. I did know nothing about America, except sometimes you will hear of the word America. But I knew France. I knew Europe. The closest thing to oversee, it was definitely Europe. I didn't know about South America. I did not know about that. But definitely I knew about Europe. I knew about France. I knew about Belgium. Because that's somewhere that, as families, our folks could go. But I also want to say that I was born, I will probably say like in a privileged family where our families, they had the opportunity to travel the world. And they have had opportunities to become influential. And I think because of that, there were perhaps some of those opportunities that we were afforded that you can call maybe extra, I don't know how you would call it. But throughout those times, I didn't have any luck. We had things. We have food. We had food. We had all the basic needs. We didn't sleep under huts, like sometimes they show in some movies here. And we lived in a house too, because the concept of an apartment, it was new. I never knew that there was such thing as an apartment. Everybody in Rwanda owned their own home. Period. It's not even luxury. I just want you to know, especially those of you in the West, you know how it's difficult for you to have a house. In Africa, in Rwanda in particular, everybody has a house, or at least if you so choose, as a family, they put together a little house for you, in a decent house. So for us, we had water, we had shower in the house, we had electricity, We had the same things you have here. So I was born knowing those things in life. Why am I saying this? Oftentimes in the West, there's a stereotype whereas when they see Africa, the same way the National Geographic Channel portrays, they only shows monkeys. They only show, it only shows monkeys, lions. You see the parks, the wild parks, the wildlife. By the way, I've never seen a monkey until probably I was a bit older, when I was going to my grandparents. And I didn't see the monkeys of my grandparents. We passed through a forest called Nyungwe. And there were some, you could see some monkeys. And it's not every day you could see a monkey. So you can imagine, most people would associate, hey, so I come from Africa. Oh, do you live next to the monkeys? And if you really want to be hysterical, you can be, yeah. I also live next to the lion, and I killed some lion. But all jokes on the side, we had a decent neighbor. We had a decent life, a beautiful life. We didn't have a lot, but what we had. It was all that we knew. All that it was good. It was enough, I think, by the standard that our families had given to us. So we didn't have something. We didn't ask. Oh, actually, I remember. I used to want to have like the toys from Europe, things like that. So, going fast forward, I went to school, to the primary school, series of 80s, Benson. So, my first outside real world encounter was when I started primary school. I was just a kid, I think in primary, I think you started when you're like 7 or something, if I remember correctly. And we had to go to school. I remember it was pretty tough leaving the house and going to the school because it was such a concept that nobody liked. At least as a kid, it wasn't fun for me because all I knew was our neighbors. I would play with other kids, but then they say you gotta go to school. I didn't know why, except that we went to school. And we had to go to school by foot, guys. And you might be like, oh, yeah, we had to go by foot. That was just the standard transportation by most people in Rwanda. Even though our families, we had access to a vehicle transportation, but our parents did not drive us at school. If you were lucky, if it was raining, maybe you could get a ride. And that was a maybe. Because there just wasn't the reason why they could come and get you, I guess. That's how I thought. So you found that every kid was the same. Every kid was the same. We were raised the same. We were raised by our neighbors. I remember that the neighborhood was your family. No joke. The neighborhood was your family. You could go eat at any one of your neighbors. They will wash you when it was time to wash kids. They will feed you when it was time to be fed. They would just, they would just take care of you like you were their own. Something that I still miss even today. We didn't have a crazy life. I was just super, I don't know whether you would call it naive, but my life was just, was joy. It was full of joy. So we went to school, and then comes 1990, September 30th. That's when that whole joy sort of like stopped. And you may wonder, you may ask, what happened? September 30th, 1990. That was the last time I think our lives became the same. Because on October 1st, 1990, my life, the life of my family, and everybody is in Rwanda was completely changed. By the way, they're asking me if there is a picture. As a kid, unfortunately, I literally don't have a picture as a baby. Those pictures were destroyed. Can you imagine? As grown man as I am right now, I do not have a picture of me as a kid. But I know perhaps if I go harass maybe some long-term friends, someone might be able to find one. But my story is I'm not so unique to that. Rwandese people or the Rwandans, we have lost so much because of the war. They usually say because of the genocide, but me, I want you to know that there was a war before the genocide. And we didn't lose all of that because of the genocide. I lost my belongings or like my family baby pictures because of the war. When we fled, they were destroyed. They destroyed them. So today you wouldn't ask me what I'd look like as a kid, except that I knew I had like hair here. Now I don't have hair here. So I only have hair here. All around me, I didn't have any hair. We don't have family pictures. We don't have some of those things we used to have. We've come to just get used to it because we are still alive. Why am I saying this, guys? Here in the West, I live in the United States right now for so many years. You know, when you see families going through family pictures, thousands and thousands of pictures, sometimes you want to break down and cry. Because when you have a history, when you can actually preserve your own history, when you can have a reference point and be able to know who's who amongst your family members, that is something that I wish that all of you can have an opportunity to have in this lifetime, and not allow or not let someone predefine you or cherry pick what they want to say or tell about you when you are long gone. So coming back again to 1990, October 1st, our lives changed. Our life changed. Mine personally changed. My family's life changed. Our neighbors' lives changed. Our community life changed. The country, as we knew it, changed. So what happened? On October 1st, 1990, Rwanda went through a war, or a war started in Rwanda. You couldn't have asked me like, okay, what kind of war is it? I just heard that the war started and life was never the same. There were Rwandese people who were refugees in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Burundi, in Zaire. Zaire, it's the Republic, Democratic Republic of the Congo today. There were Rwandan refugees all over. How they became refugees, I never knew back in those days, and I never really cared because I never knew that they were refugees. I just knew my own life as a kid, and that was it. And back in 1990, I wasn't old enough exactly to be asking things like, okay, so do we have refugees in Rwanda? No, I didn't. So when that started, our lives changed. Back in the day, when that started, we lived in what they used to call Ruhengeri. Again, if they can give me back my mouse, I want to show you. It's like up in the northern Rwanda. Today it's called Musanze. So it's literally right next to Uganda. And for those of you who do not know, I want you to get to know Rwanda pretty well, because today you know Rwanda for many reasons except the good reasons. You know Rwanda as a butchering country, somewhere that people kill each other and so on. So this used to be called Ruhengeri. Today it's called Musanze. Back here it's in Uganda. You see, like in the northern Rwanda, you have Uganda here, you have DRC here, it used to be called Zaire, you have Burundi and Tanzania. So up here in the northern, it's one of the best location in Rwanda. We also have volcanoes in Rwanda. So we used to live in Ruhengeri back in the days. In 1990, October 1st, 1990, we lived in Ruhengeri. And that was the first time I heard anybody talking about a war. I was afraid, naturally, the same way you would be afraid as well. Because the closest thing to a real war that I knew, it was watching like the movies, you know, like Rambo. I remember Rambo was one of the biggest movie everybody was talking about. Is it Rambo or Commando? Something like that. I don't remember, but we used to watch these shooting movies and it used to be fun to see it. But little did I know that a real war is no joke. You could see that everybody was so disturbed. Life literally changed. What used to be happy, it stopped being happy. Neighbors, people all over, they literally just changed. Children, they started discriminating. Children. Some families would not play with you, and we never knew why. And all because they said there is a war, some of these families are enemies, and things like that. So life started becoming a bit ugly, a bit unfriendly for a child. It sucked, actually. It really sucked. Because I remember when it first started, we were like at school. And for the first time, we heard a gun, I think. And they sent us home early. I remember. They sent us home early. And we were trying to find out what's happening, what's going on. Because everybody was terrified. And you get to have all kinds of emotions about that. But the country changed for the first time in my few years on this earth experience. I got to see a soldier, like those soldiers you used to see on movies. I got to see a real person with a gun and this plate looking like it's like one of those, you know, those bulletproof hats that soldiers wear when they go to like a war. They just look so crazy. It looked surreal. You could see buses full of them going for wars and all of that. But to make matters worse, we lived next to what's equivalent to like a Marine base. They used to call it back in the days Kamuhoza. I think today it's like a polytechnical school there, right where it used to be. I remember all of that just like yesterday. Like those images have been so heavily printed in me like yesterday. They're so graphic, they're so vivid, I can't even tell. So the war starts. We could see many soldiers coming in and out of the barracks, right? Literally across the street, it was a military base, like a Marine type of base. They used to call them commandos. So those were the really soldiers who were supposed to like fight for the country. I never knew them before because they just didn't have a reason to pull on uniforms. They used to look like regular guys, but then they just look so mean. They just look so with a bunch of bullet chains and the guns and all of that. It just looks surreal. And because we live right next to it, to the barracks, we could see all movements, everything that used to take place there. And for the first time, they imposed a curfew to the people. We thought it was a joke. We never knew what that was until one time we remember it being enforced, and one of our friends, I think, was apprehended. They were caught, and I think they got beaten. He was coming to visit our place, and so I was like, man, what's wrong with these people? They're becoming mean all of a sudden. Because as a kid, I never really understood the implication of a war. I never understood why in the world a soldier would want to come out. I have never even seen a police officer. The closest thing to a police officer I knew, it was like a security guard. So the majority of homes, they had security guard. We call it umuzamu. That's the closest thing I ever knew to a police officer. But also, if you would go to like any of the government buildings, and when I say a building, it's like a government house. So don't think of building like in European types of building, or here when we talk about building, it was just like an official house of the government. There used to be another guy in uniform with a stick, and that used to be the security guard there. I think he was a police officer, but he didn't have a gun, he didn't have a pistol, he did not have a knife, nothing like that. So what am I saying to you? Rwanda, as I remember it, from the time I was born to September 30th, 1990, I have never seen a person with a gun in my whole life. I have never seen a soldier in uniform, like in war uniform, like a real soldier. I have never seen a police officer. That's where I came from. I knew that thieves existed, but it was like a story. So they used to say if a thief would target your house, they will use a big rock. They used to call it Gatalina. So like for Russian, Gatalina, it's a beautiful name, or Catalina. But for us, you mention keyword Gatalina, I'm thinking a thief. So those were like my infancy, my childhood memories when it comes to like a crazy life. It was movies. It was like stories. I have never witnessed something terrible before 1990, October 1st. I don't know why, but I think our parents either shielded us those things. But the truth of the matter is, it just wasn't there. We didn't have bad memories. Bad memories were just not being given something you craved for as a kid. That's what I can call bad memories. All our neighbors that I know, even today, some of whom we still are friends and connected, they can attest to it. We did not know anything about ethnicity in Rwanda. I never knew who I was. I didn't know. But today, if you meet me and I tell you that I come from Rwanda, the very first thing you get to ask is, are you a Hutu or Tutsi? Because that's how the media has portrayed Rwanda, have portrayed me as a person or another fellow Rwandans. They have never taken the time to tell you that before the genocide there was a war. Before a war there was a lifestyle that everybody knew. Of course, with the exceptions of those refugees. So now, from the lenses of a kid, for me, those were the fondest memories. Because after October 1st, 1990, I was forced to grow, and it sucked. And it still sucks. I mean, today I got used to it. But back in the days, then we were forced to just behave differently. Just a few months after, 1991, that war that came from Uganda. The Ugandan as a country attacked Rwanda under the pretext that these were the Rwandese refugees. But it isn't so. So now the Ugandans, or the Rwandan refugees, however you want to call it, they attacked the city. They attacked Ruhengeri back in the days. It's called Musanze today. And as you can imagine, we lived right next to the barracks, right next to the Marines, the commandos' camp, Kamuhoza. So these guys, they were coming for the military barracks. And one of the nicest home that was there, it was our house. So they naturally assumed that that was a home of an officer from the Marines or from the commandos. So I remember it just like yesterday. I think it was around like 4 in the morning. We were sleeping, minding our business, as we always did. But before that, though, if I may actually be a bit more transparent. Before that, we had gotten sent home also, because they said that the war was actually now nearby. So now remember, in Rwanda, in Ruhengeri, or in Musanze, we have the volcanoes. We have a national park. Right where you guys come and check out the gorillas, Rwandan has, I think, is the home for gorillas. Rwandan, Ugandan, and the DRC. Naturally, that's where gorillas come from, y'all. In Rwanda. And that's why you pay top dollar to come and check it out. So they came from the volcanoes, and they came down Kinigi all the way down to the city, Ruhengeri city. It was called Musanze. Musanze was like a little teeny location nearby there. So they come down, and then at school, when we went to school in the morning, they literally stopped us. They stopped school and they say, you know what, the war has taken a new phase. Now the fighter, the rebels have actually advanced, and they are in the city. And for the first time, I heard a machine gun shooting real time. How did I hear of machine gun? There is a mountain called Nyamagumba, and if you actually Google it, you will be able to see it. I went to a primary school there called Nyamagumba. It also was called Nyamagumba, if I remember it correctly. So around 10 a.m., a machine gun started shooting. And when I say my heart, it's like my heart jumped out of me. I was trembling, I was shaking. And that thing made noise. It shot all day long. Literally all day long. I don't know what they were shooting, but they were shooting something. And it was so loud. So loud. So now imagine a kid in school, no dad, no mom, because they never came to school with us. And then all of a sudden you hear him non-stop for hours. So I was like, man, this is the end of the world. I wish I have never seen a horror movie. I wish I have never seen a war movie. I wish I have never seen an action movie. Because when you're watching a real action movie, you have actually, you have an opportunity to actually turn down the volume, to even, to turn off the TV if you don't like it. I could not turn off what was happening. I was scared as I don't know what. My stomach was killing me. I had diarrhea. It was real. It's like your whole body is running away from you. So as you can imagine, we scream as kids in school. You could just hear, all of us. And I remember our teacher was telling us to duck, to go under the classroom desks. Sometimes when I think about it, you laugh, but it wasn't funny back in the days. Imagine if someone is shooting at you. How are you going to be saved hiding under a desk? But naturally, that actually brought a little comfort to us. I'm not going to lie. So they told us to hide, and then a little bit of afterwards, I remember they called our parents that they had to come and get us. And imagine you're telling an African parent, come and get your kid. For them, they're thinking, my kid is in trouble, I'm going to go beat my baby. So it was not natural for school to call the parent or the parents. But because you could not hide the noise of that machine gun, naturally parents knew that, everything was bad. I was going to use a bad word, but I'm not going to use it. So the fire had hit the fan, basically, if you want to put it that way. So, but our parents, I don't know what they were, but my parents didn't come to pick us up at school. Remember, we walked at school. It was like maybe like 1.5 miles. Every day, one way, 1 mile, 1.5 miles. Yeah, one way. And we used to walk with the rest of our children, the rest of our classmates and our neighbors. So it was no big deal. But I kid you not, on that day, it was the longest, it felt like a longest walk at home, because I was wondering if I was going to be alive the next minute. Even though nobody was shooting at me or at us, because that machine gun didn't stop, we thought that we were going to die. So the very first traumatic event I experienced that, I think it was February 20th, 1991, a day before the rebel came to Ruhengeri back in the day. That's when, like, literally now I heard guns in proximity with me. So we walk at school, no, we walk back at home, and now we could see many, many buses full of soldiers. Now, remember, Rwanda was, at least from my perspective, I have never seen a soldier before in a vehicle in a huge number. And they had their own vehicle. There were these trucks that they used to have. If you guys remember the Rambo, movie Rambo, you go check out when he went to Vietnam to fight. The trucks that the soldier used to use, Rwanda had, trucks like those. I think they were Mercedes trucks, if I remember correctly. You would know that it's a military truck, and you'd be a fool to mess with it. But this time around, they were actually in buses, in public buses. They were being transported in huge numbers by bus. So I was like, oh my God. Instead of seeing regular people, you would see buses like that. And so from our school back at home, we saw that. And this time around also, as kid. So guys, this is how life used to be. Because I think it would at least put a little joy to you guys. So us leaving the house, going to school, there was a small airport landing pad for those little teeny planes in Rwanda. It used to be right next to the barracks, the military camp. And then there was this hotel called Muhabura, and I think it's still there. So us as kids, we used to actually go across the airport because they didn't have any fence to it. And they barely had any plane falling, landing there. So it was like our route to go through there, even though they hated that we would do it, but we would do it anyway. So telling you that there was, our childhood, we were not, we weren't always like angels. We would just do what children do. So I remember we tried to go through the airport, and right before we could even get next to it, we used to go next to Muhabura Hotel, and then we will cross through, and then next to next to the military base, and then we'll end up on the other side. It was a shorter route, basically. That's why we used to do it. If we would take the proper way to go, it would take a little longer. So there we go. We attempt to cross over, and then we saw soldiers with guns. Now we were like, man, these guys are going to murder us. They're going to kill us. So we immediately ran back. And then we went the longest way home, the proper way at home. So when we arrived home, nobody was there. My dad wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. I think they were at work or something. But we had the people who lived at home. By the way, another thing I want to mention. In Africa, in particular, in Rwanda, in particular with our family, we have people at home who would help us out. Like what you may call here like a chef, someone who cooks the food for you, someone who washes your clothes, someone who works in the garden, and the security guard. So those were the people we were accustomed to be at home all the time. So now, also when I say this, over here, can you imagine having a chef in your own house, having a gardener in your own house, having a laundry person like a maid, someone who cleans the house and all of that in your own house, and having a security guard? That's at least 5 people. Try to have that here in the United States. You immediately get out what they call a middle class to like a bourgeois, someone who's well off. But for an average, a family in Rwanda, that was a norm. It was not a big deal. Remember the same way I say that everybody lives in a house. At least we used to live in homes. We never knew that there were something you call an apartment. An apartment was like a luxury because it was fancy apartment. Why would you need an apartment for? So the lives that most of you live in the West, in Europe, in Africa, like the luxury in the United States, it's a standard. It's just a normal life back in Africa, in particular in Rwanda, because that's where I was born. That's where I knew for the shortest time that I've lived. So when I say that, I want you guys to understand that my upbringing, what we had as compared to the lifestyle we had to get acquainted to, you couldn't even compare it. You could not compare it, period. And that's why I say we are kings and queens at home. And you sell your royalty for an American life, for a European life, for whatever life that you have or that you so choose. But they never tell you the comparison before you make those decisions. So even with that too, we found those guys at home, and they looked at us. They knew we were scared. They attempted to, to comfort us, to console us, to basically, cheer us up, so that we may have, we may just calm down and wait for the parents. So they're telling me that my time is up, but that day I prayed, like seriously speaking, I prayed. Oh, by the way, we used to go to church too, but we didn't have as many church as they have right now. We only had like what? Catholic Church and Jehovah's Witnesses. And every school was a Catholic school. So I went to Catholic school, and I remember what they used to call Mancela. And it so happened that on that day, actually, we were in a classroom. Mancela was teaching us. And so I prayed, and I was like, God, I don't want this thing. I don't want this. Well, if you can really, really help us out here, I'll be the best kid that you can want. I will do whatever it is you want. I mean, I remember we made so many promises, and sometimes when I look back of how many promises that I have not been able to keep, my God, it's incredible. It's incredible. But we have beginnings, guys. We have beginnings, we have places, we have homes, we have roots. And it saddens me sometimes that our brothers and sisters here in the United States, most of whom came here as slaves, they cannot trace back their homes, their original homes, their ancestors. However, with technology right now, they can actually check your DNA and try to approximate or to give you the proximity of where you come from. And I want to encourage all of you brothers and sisters, descendants of Africans who are here in the United States. Do your best to find out your roots, where you come from, your own people. You'll be shocked. Most of them are still there today. But because you have gotten, you are completely disconnected. And most of you, you don't even have any interest of finding out. It is incredible to know who you are, to know your upbringing, to know your people, to know your history. And that's why we want to make sure that we restore our history. We restore everything that there is to know about our own people, about our upbringing, our lives. It's important that you know who you are if you are to face the challenges that we have today. If you have to be a part of the solutions of today's world, demanding world. So that's part of my testimony. I'll have to continue on next time. But I want to let you know that it's a privilege to have known so many things that I know. It's a privilege to have a home that I can call a home today. It's a privilege to have a host home. The United States, it's like my second home. because I was taken out of Rwanda and I was brought here. Here I found stability. I haven't seen shootings in many years, in 20 plus years. There is another life that I was, that I traded for when we arrived here. When I know that plenty of Rwandese people never had a chance to get out. It wasn't about the money. Because if it was money, we probably wouldn't have made it here. Because it's expensive to get here. And that's another thing I want to touch bases on. Most of you who see African families coming here in the United States, in Europe, in South America, and you belittle those families. Just think about how much it costs to travel. Some of you who have gotten an opportunity to go outside of your countries, outside of the United States, you know how much it costs to plan going away. Just a flight by itself. Now, I want you to imagine you have a family of 4, 5, 6 people. A typical African family has 3 kids, 4 kids. That's a typical, at least when I was born. Most families, they have 2, 3, 4 minimum. So for a family to come comfortably in the States, in Europe, they are well off. They have money. They're not using credit card. They're using cash money. Okay? And we're not getting that cash money from monkeys, from gorillas, from all those things that you usually attribute. So I want you to get to know that we have an upbringing completely different from the kind of upbringing that you know. We have a different image, completely different than the image the National Geographic channel shows you. By the way, I'm not bashing the National Geographic channel. It's just that it's one of the channels that I love watching. And most of the programs that they love showing wildlife, Africa wildlife. And because that is one of the most popular shows that's ever been on the networks, when you talk about Africa, everybody sees lions, everybody sees monkeys, everybody sees wildlife. The concept of a city, the concept of a building, the concept of clothes, the concept of a school, and things like that are very barely touched upon. So naturally, you cannot know what you've never been showed or taught. So the majority of citizens here are somewhat ignorant about Africa, somewhat ignorant about Rwanda, except what the media chooses to show you. And we had said enough is enough. We're taking now the steering drive. There is an image that's been portrayed about us as a people. But now there is also another image about us as a people, the real image. And I submit to you to take those 2 images and compare them. From a testimony perspective to a spin version from a network that's looking for viewers, that's looking for readership, that's looking for money. This here, it's a contribution to my own people, to my family, my community, my village, my country, and the entire African as a continent. We want to undo, we want to rewrite the history the proper way, the correct way. And we want you to be a part of it. 100 years from today, how would you like to be remembered as an individual? How would you like to be remembered as a family? How would you like to be remembered as a community, as a village? How would you like to be remembered as a country? And this is where governments cherry pick what they want to be remembered by because they know angels. But as regular folk, we want to be able to write the full history, the entire full history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it make us who we are. And so you are in for a treat, guys. I promise you, it's a long road, but we have the heart for it. We have the will for it, and we will get this done. So I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful again to guys, to techs, to networks, those of you making this broadcast a reality. We are very grateful. We are very grateful. Afri Dominion as a program, it's going to live on for a long time. We want to inspire you. We want to advocate. And we want to encourage that you come out, speak up, speak on your own behalf, on behalf of your family, on behalf of your communities, on behalf of your country. Speak up. Give us your testimony. Write your history, the correct history, the raw history, so that we can keep that for thousands and thousands of years. Now, if you ask me, if you tell the truth, if you speak your own history, if you speak and you give testimony, can you imagine a mass media, a conglomerate corporation coming in and spin your story when you have the full, nothing but the full history? They won't be able to spin it. If you have a politician, if you have someone who's looking to take advantage of you, to take advantage of your community, to take advantage of your family or your families, how are they going to come and do that when you have not given them a reason? If there is an issue going on in your family, if there is an issue going on in your community, and you become the one actually saying, hey, we've got a problem here, we have a situation, can you lend us a hand as a people? Those who take advantage of you will not have an opportunity to come and do it because you are in the light. And that's why we're asking you to be bold, to be very bold, very frank, and unapologetic about your testimony, about your history. Be truthful in everything that you say. Say it or share it in the spirit of love and trust. And this is what we ask that you participate, that you do along with the rest of us. Because we have so much work to do, guys. We have so much work to do, especially this year. We have so much work to do. And I want to give you a huge welcome. And I want to ask that you also lend us help. Help us to get it done. So much is happening in Rwanda. So much is happening in Africa. But the sons, daughters, and African descendants, Rwandan descendants, most of them are unaware of it. Because you are so distracted doing so many other things. You are being purposely distracted. Because the minute you pay attention to the things of which are most important in your lives, change is inevitable. And this is going to be the change that you want. A desired change that you're driving. And that's what we wish for you. Today, Rwanda is being praised globally. Globally, Rwanda is being praised as Singapore of Africa, as an exemplary country. But there is a dark story of Rwanda. There is a dark story of this politician. There is a dark story of the rebels in suits. Those who started the war October 1st, 1990, ruling right now. 4 years that they fought, they killed, displaced people that you will never get to hear about. But all you know is that you have saviors because the mass media have spun the story. The advertisers have spun the story in a way that it tastes so good for you. The lobbyists give you the story that they have so carefully engineered to feed the narrative that they want you to know, that they want you to keep in your memories. But we are coming boldly and we are saying we want to correct everything up in the open. You want to challenge our stories? Come and challenge them if you so choose. Openly. But we want to put a notice to the universities, the institutions, all these institutions that have been perpetrating lies, perpetrating inaccurate information, writing inaccurate books, being sold on various platforms. Most of you are going to have to recall a lot of your books, a lot of your movies, except that movies, at least they usually tell you that the characters are fictitious or it's for entertainment purposes. But there are documentaries that are going to be recalled very soon because they're full of lies. But the beauty of it, we have already archived most of these works because we want to put that as a part of this past 27, 30 years that we have gone through as a people. London is a country manufactured on a lie today. When these people, most of us, we are living a lie as a country. A lie that just didn't start from nowhere. A lie that was manufactured, that was carefully engineered and presented to the world. How can I, as a son, born in Rwanda, raised in America, with some history of who I am, how can I also stand by and let you continue to perpetrate lies, to sell lies openly and unashamedly? If I continue to do that, my conscience would actually judge me. My own people would judge me. It's not by accident that we're here today. It is not by accident that you are in various countries that you are. Though misplaced, though displaced, we cannot all die at once. Somebody has to tell the story. And someone must have the courage to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. And here at Afri Dominion, we have decided that we want to take a challenge on that. On behalf of our families, on behalf of our communities, on behalf of our countries and the continent. So every single one of you, whether it be from Rwanda, from Burundi, from Tanzania, from Sudan, from Egypt, from Nigeria, from Senegal, from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, from Malawi, from Congo, from Cote d'Ivoire, from Niger. Africa has today 54 countries, soon to be 56 countries. All of you have a story to tell. Be the one telling your own story. Do not allow someone to cherry pick your story and portray you for something else that you're not. Your silence is a license for someone else to tell a lie on your behalf. I repeat, your silence is a license you give to someone else to tell a lie on your behalf. So let us not be silent anymore. We've been silent in Rwanda for at least 27 years. And the government leading the country right now has been selling a lie for 27 years. Not alone though. They know they have not been selling the lie all alone. Many nations, many countries have helped, including some of who led this country. Sadly to say, we're not afraid to say that. Today we know it. Even you say that yourselves. So how can we leave a history that's a lie and you become proud of living a lie? If we are to have children, or if some of you already have children, some of us already have children or grandchildren, How will you actually give the best to your children if you're giving them lies, if you're telling them lies? If the very first basic, if the roots, if the foundation is based on a lie, how can you expect that child to grow up being a stand-up child, a stand-up citizen in any country that you might find yourself in today? We must change this, ladies and gentlemen. Young people, today it is our turn. Though so much that has been dumped on our laps, we have to deal with today. We have no excuse not to do it. We just can't push the bucket to our children or our grandchildren. We cannot push the bucket. Some are doing it. But let us, few of us, decide and say no. We want to end the bucket here with us. Whatever we got to do, whatever that we have to clean, whatever that must be done, let's do it. Let's pass on a better legacy, a better history, a better representation of us as a people. You won't have to cherry pick history, especially the ugly side of history. You won't have to exclude it if you decide not to participate in the making of the ugly history. We want to operate in the light because that's who we are. We are light. We are the truth, we are the love, and we are the trust. We are kings and queens. That's who we are. Assume your own identities, guys. Assume your own identities. And take back the charge, take back the power of who you are as a people. Apologize to no one for being you, for taking back what is rightfully yours. So you can imagine it's going to be a struggle for some of you. But it's also going to be a liberation. The first time you liberate yourself, the true freedom and responsibility that you are going to experience for the first time. Now, I am asking my brothers and sisters from Rwanda and from Africa in particular, rise up to the challenge. Rise up to the challenge. Rewrite the wrong of which have been written on our behalf by our parents, our grandparents, and foreigners. Let's rewrite all the wrongs that have been done in our countries and on Africa. We can all live together on this planet Earth. Africa is more than capable of feeding the entire planet by itself. So how do you tell me the UK is going to come and feed Africa? France is going to come and feed Africa. When France is like this little teeny thing as compared to Africa. How can you expect France to feed you if it can't even feed itself? But you can feed France. You can feed UK. You can feed the United States. You can feed Russia, China, Australia, South America, Canada. We can feed the entire planet, guys. And that's the challenge that we must take. You have to assume your own true identity as kings and queens and do what you have to do. Nourish your people, nourish other communities because it is your responsibility. Protect your families, protect your community, protect your countries, and protect the world. It is our responsibility. This that I am saying to you right now, we don't have to rehearse it. It's in you. It's within you. You just have to wake it. Awaken it. Wake it up. Wake up the lion inside of you. Wake up the giant inside of you. It's your responsibility, and we have to get this done, guys. And with that in mind, it would be a remiss if I didn't say that I'm so grateful again for Networks helping us out with this program, with technical team carrying us over, those of you protecting us. There's so much effort that's gone into making this program a reality, and I want to humbly say that we are so grateful to all of you who are making this show a reality. We're thanking the networks distributing the content, because we want this content to go where it needs to go, to feed the minds of the people that it needs to feed, to become an added value to all of you, and to inspire you, to advocate on your behalf, and to encourage you to become a better version of yourselves, because that's who you truly, 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 truly are. I also want to extend an invitation to all of you. Come and support our cause. Come and support our movement. Come and support the idea. African Dominion. Let's take back the full control. Let's have a complete dominion of Africa. One country at a time. For the interest of our own people primarily. And the benefit or the interest of the rest of the world afterwards. As I said, there is plenty for everyone. But gone are the days where you're going to be a bystander, watching another African dying out of hunger, dying out of poverty, dying out of a machine gun, dying because nobody thinks that you are valuable enough to breathe the air on this planet. Dying because of these diseases that's being sent amongst us. Let's put an end to that. So, I am extending an invitation to all of you to come and work with us, to come and tell the story. And you brothers and sisters who have already done so or who are doing it, I am exceedingly humbled and thankful that you are rewriting the history today. Because 100 years from today, another generation or generations will actually say, wow, those people, they attempted to do something. They attempted to actually make some changes, make some necessary changes. Some necessary changes. They boldly did what they had to do, even if they end up not getting it all done. So we are so grateful. I am so thankful to all of you who are following. Thank you for those of you watching us live from the television stations. Thank you for those of you following us or listening to us via radio stations. Thank you for those of you turning in via social medias like Facebook and YouTube. You guys are many. And I want you all to come and shine with us. Come and shine with your own people. Come and shine with the rest of the world. Come and tell your own truth, your own stories. Come and write your own history. And with that in mind, I am grateful. I am Freeman with African Dominion Show. And this show is being sponsored by HMG Network. All of you all over the world, we want to say thank you. Come and hang with us. Come and tell your own story, your own ways, and we will support you. We have the heart for it. We have the mean. We have the desire to get this done. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Again, I'm Freeman Singirankabo with African Dominion Show. Nahejo, as we say in Kenya, Rwanda. I'll see you tomorrow.